welcome back guys to the second part of Mathematics B, January 2021, paper 2P, and we were on question number 10, so we will be moving on. The nth term of a sequence is an, where a base n is equal to 2n square plus 3n plus 1 whole divided by 2n plus 2. By simplifying the expression for a base n or otherwise explain why no term in the sequence is an integer. Show algebraic working and clearly explain your reasoning. Okay, so here we have been given a sequence, but funny, there is nothing to do with sequences over here. It's simply simplifying the expression for an over here. So we will simply be simplifying this, and to do this you can clearly see that you cannot just cut on both sides, or just cut this whole thing with anything. So we will have to factorize it first, and to do that we can see over here that this looks similar to a quadratic equation. So we will be using midterm breaking over here. So 2 multiplied by 1 gives us 2, obviously. So we have to find a number, two numbers, which if we multiply together they give us 2, but if we add them they give us 3. So the first thing I can think of is 2 and 1. If you multiply 2 with 1 you can get 2, but if you add 2 with 1 you get 3. So here we will be writing this simplified quadratic: 2n square plus 2n plus n, 2 and 1 plus 1. Midterm breaking actually means breaking this part into two pieces, and we just did with 2 and 1. Now whole things divided by 2n plus 2. Now you can easily put that in one piece. We can just take 2n common, which gives us n plus 2, or simply just it gives us n plus 1, plus this part you can take only one common, so it will give us n plus 1 whole divided by 2n plus 2. And now moving on, we can simply write it in this way: 2n plus 1 using this and this, while the two common things we have, if they are the same, right now they are the same, so we will write it in a separate bracket and we will be dividing it by this. But as you can see right now, even you cannot simplify any of these three, but there is one thing we can do. First rewrite as it is the numerator equation, and now you can see we can take 2 common. We will take 2 common, and now you can see we can simplify this equation and this part, and because they are being multiplied with each other we can easily cut the whole thing, which leaves us with 2n plus 1 divided by 2, or you can say by this side you should simplify it clearly. So right now we will write it as 2n over 2 plus 1 over 2, which gives us n plus 1 over 2. So to explain this, you will just simply write, I won't be writing it over here, I'll just tell you what it is. It is that whatever number n is, first let's just see what an integer is. Integer is any number which is a whole number and not a fraction. So whatever number you place over here, whatever integer you place over here, it can never remain an integer because it is being added with a 0.5. So if this is an 8, so 8 plus 0.5 makes it an 8.5, which is not an integer. So you can just simply say this cannot be an integer. Okay, question number 11. Factorize x square minus 1. P and Q are integers greater than 260,000 and P is less than Q. So first we will be solving the part A. Now there are three kinds of identities we have read about. First of them is a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. Second is a minus b whole square, which gives us a square minus b square plus 2ab, and a square minus b square, which means a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So these three identities are there, and by the looks of this we can easily identify that it will be the third identity. So we will just substitute these over here. So x square will be a square minus b square. So this will go just like a x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 1, and this is our factorized form. Now for the next part, p and q are integers greater than 260k and p is less than q. Find the value of p and the value of q such that pq is equal to 236 raised to the power 36 minus 1. Now simply we have been given this, and we have been given this equation which we actually used. So p and q are integers greater than 260k, both of them are. So find the value of p and the value of q, and pq is equal to 3 to power 36 minus 1. So first of all, we can just rearrange this equation by saying 2 power 18 whole squared minus 1. So we just made ourselves an equation just like this one, x square minus 1. Assuming 2 power 18 is an x, we can just simplify and just write 2 power 18 minus 1 into 2 power 18 plus 1. So you can now see that this part is greater than, if you simplify this, it will be obviously be greater than this. So they said value of p and the value of q, so that pq is equal to this and p is less than q. So right now you have seen p is less than q. This will be p, this will be q. P will be 218 minus 1 and q will be 218 plus 1 because q is greater. Question number 12. Alright. Density d grams per centimeter cube of an object of mass m grams and volume v centimeter cubed is given by the formula d is equal to m over v, density is equal to mass over volume. Mass is given to or nearest 10 and volume is given to 3 significant figures. Calculate the lower bound to 3 significant figures of d and show your working clearly. So lower bound means the lower total. First you need to, if you don't need to find the lower bound of both mass and volume to calculate the lower bound of density. First we will just calculate the upper and lower bounds of mass and volume. So the upper bound of mass, because it is to nearest 10, so 10 divided by 2, it gives us 5. So to find the upper bound of m, you simply need to add 5 to 2800, which gives us 2805. To find the lower bound of mass, you simply need to subtract 5 from this total, which gives us 2795. Now for upper bound of volume, to 3 significant figures 1, 2, 3, it leaves us with a place value of tens. So again 10 over 2 is 5. If to find the upper bound you have to add 5, and to find the lower bound you need to subtract 5. Now to find using these values, you have to find the lowest possible value for density. So how can you do that? If you divide anything with with a number which is greater, you get the lower value, and if the numerator is lower and the denominator is higher, you get a lower value. So the best thing to do is use the lower bound for mass, the smallest value for mass, which is 2795, and we use the higher value for volume, which is 1605. This will give us the lowest possible value for density using these four values. And now we will use our calculator. And we get, we have to write to 3 significant figures, so our answer to 3 significant figures will be this. And obviously we have to write the units as well, or just meters per centimeter cubed. Now moving on to question number 13. Now this question says, without using your calculator and showing all your workings, express this value in the form of a plus under root b, where a and b are integers. Okay, so a and b are integers, meaning they are whole numbers, they are not in fractions, or they're not in an under root. So when solving this kind of equation, you should always know, whenever the denominator is, whatever the denominator is, if it consists of two values with a sign in between which is positive or negative, you need to change that sign and multiply the new equation with both the numerator and the denominator. So we will be doing that. First rewrite the upper equation and then add a multiplication, and 13 plus under root 11, because we just changed the sign. And similarly with do the same thing with the lower bound, the denominator as well here. Now you cannot just simplify this off, because then it will obviously be of no use, but now we will be simply opening this up. If you multiply 13 by 13, the under root cuts and we get a 13. If you multiply 13 with 11, now for this thing you can, I think, use your calculator, because this obviously, for some, if you can, then it's okay, but if you can't, then just you can use the calculator like this. Plus, if under root 11 is multiplied by under root 13, again it is the same thing, plus under root 11 multiplied by under root 11 gives us 11. Top numerator solved. Going to the denominator now. Now this thing is similar to the third identity we talked about, a square minus b square is equal to a plus b multiplied by a minus b. Here you can see an a minus b and an a plus b. So we will simply write this 13 square, which is under root 13 square, minus under root 11 square. Make sure to write this minus outside, because you're not squaring the minus. Now you could also have done this with the top using an identity, but we just simplified it right away. And over here, this is not supposed to be multiplied, it is supposed to be plus. Okay, now we will just simplify this top as well, which gives us 24 plus 2 times 143 under root over 13 minus 11, because squaring this cancels the roots. We have this, so 24 plus 2 under root 143 divided by 2, and now you can simply take 2 common on the top and we can simply cut it off, and here we have an integer. Integers just cannot be a fraction, they can be a root. So and this is the farthest we can get our answer, and so we will write it over here, and we're done with this question as well. Moving on to question number 14. Jill travels to work either by car or by train. Each day that Jill travels to work, the probability that she travels to work by train is 0.1. Remember, probability is always out of 1 unless you are calculating it in a percentage. So over here it's out of 1. On a day that Jill travels to work by train, the probability that she will be late for work is 0.05. And if she's traveling to work by car, the probability she will be late is 0.01. On a random chosen day that Jill travels to work, she is late for work. Find the probability that Jill traveled to work by train on that day. If it's simply said this equation, the bottom equation, she traveled to train on that day, instead of the second last equation, you could simply have multiplied the probability of train multiplied by late. That would have been the answer. But in this case, they said on a random chosen day that Jill travels to work, she is late for work. Due to this equation being first, we first have to calculate the probability of her being late, and using that probability we will be finding the probability she traveled by train. So the easiest, to make this thing easier, we will first make a tree diagram. First of all, this I will label train and this I will label car. She travels to work by train is 0.1. This is her probability. And for car, even if it isn't mentioned, I told you that the probability is out of 1. So whatever remaining is put over there. So 1 minus 0.1 is 0.9. So probability she travels by car is 0.9. Now, using the train, is she late or is she not late? Okay, if on a day that Jill travels to work by train, the probability that she will be late is 0.05. So obviously she will not be late. The probability will be 0.95, sorry. And similar diagram for car, late or not late. If she travels to work by car, probability she will be late is 0.01, and if not, then it will be 0.99. You can see the diagram over here. You can try to make it a bit neater, but I couldn't. So now we have the tree diagram with all the probabilities listed over here. So first we need to travel the probability she is late for work. Whenever you're finding a probability of or, like if she find the probability that she is traveling by train and she is traveling late, if it is an and, if she is on a train and she is late, whenever an and comes, you need to multiply both the probabilities. But if a probability is or, tell us that if she's traveling by train or she's traveling by car, then obviously we'll add both these, because or means that probability and the other probability combined, so you'll be adding them. Over here there is no sign of we can even use the or probability, because she's traveling late or she's not late, there is no sign. But if they tell us if she's traveling by train and she's late, or she's traveling by car and she is not late. So first, using the ands, you will find this probability, then you will find the car and not late probability, and then you will add them. But this is more just a side talk. We'll just stick to the question right for now. Find the probability that Jill traveled to work by train on that day. First, she is late for work. Late, train and late. 0.1 multiplied by 0.05. And now we have an or, because she traveled to train and she is late, or she traveled by car and she is late. First we have to find the lates, right? So or she traveled by car and she is late. Remember, whenever there's an and, it is a multiply. Whenever there's an or, there's an addition sign. So all you need to do is calculate this, which gives us about 7/500, which means 0.014 is the probability that she is late for work on either cases. And now find the probability that Jill traveled to work by train. So now simply you will find the probability that she is by train and she is late. And now you need to divide this whole thing by 0.014, which is her being late, and that ultimately gives us 5/14, which means we'll just keep it over here because the decimal places are way too long to be stated over here. So we'll just write it at the bottom as well. This is the probability she was late on that specific day. Okay, question number 15. Simplify 4x minus 3y plus x plus 5y. This is one of the simpler questions, so you can just simply rearrange this equation and write 4x plus x minus 3y plus 5y, the same variables together. You will just solve this, 5x plus 2y, and there is your answer. Part B, simplify 2a cubed multiplied by 4a cubed. So over here you should know this is an indices question. When the coefficient over here, they will be multiplied as it is, and whenever there's this unknown variable and it has a power, if the both of the variables are the same, and there's a multiplication sign in between, you need to add both these powers of them, and hence this is 3 and this is 3, both of them are the same, and there's a multiplication, you will add both them. So we simply get this 8 multiplied by a raised to the power 6, or you can just simply write 8a raised to the power 6. Question number 16, part A, factorize fully. Over here there is nothing else we can do instead of taking common, and over here the highest common we can take is 2a, which gives us 5b minus 12a. Over here we cannot do any midterm breaking or anything because we have two unknown variables, and hence this is our final answer. Factorize p square plus 10p minus 24. Now we can do some midterm breaking because we have one unknown variable and we have a structure of a quadratic, but we can see there's a minus sign over here, so to be more precise and correct, you will simply use your calculator. So using your calculator, simply go to mode setup, you click 5, you will see these equations options. Simply go to part 3, which gives you ax square plus bx plus c, and that matches our equation over here. So we'll just click 3 and we will just put in our values. P square means 1, plus 10, p means plus 10, and minus 24, we will just put it over there. It will give us an answer is equal to 0. It means x is equal to 2. So x is equal to 2 means x minus 2 is one factor. Or first we will just write it here, x is equal to 2, and the second, just click equal to once again, you will get x2, which means minus 12. So x2 is minus 12. So what you need to do is bring this away from on the other side of the equal sign. You will get x minus 2 and multiply it by doing the same. This is your factors, and here is your factorized equation. Or if you're trying to do the midterm breaking again, you can, it is up to you if you want to, because 10, if you multiply anything by 24 and you subtract it to get 10, then it's a little hard to calculate, but to me it will be 6 and 4, and that's the first thing. But if you multiply, you cannot get minus 24. So minus 2 and plus 12 were used. So if you multiply minus 2 with 12, you get minus 24, and if you subtract both of them or add both of them, you get 10. And you doing that, following that method, you will ultimately get this. We're done with 16 questions. Our second last question of this part is question number 17. Given that a is equal to 2.1 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 56 and b is equal to 8 into 10 raised to the power 54. Calculate a into b. So we are given a and we are given b. First we will just write it in this form, brackets. It makes it easier to judge or solve. Okay, so to multiply this, again comes the indices rule. You multiply these two things, this 8 and the 2.1 as it is, which gives us 16.8 multiplied by 10. Both of them are the same, they both are 10, and their powers, because they are being multiplied, their powers will be added, which gives us 110. Now to find the answer in standard form, this part always needs to be to one decimal. The decimal needs to be after the first number, so it has to be less than 10. You can just say this number. So we will just move the decimal backwards one place, and that increases the power by 1. Moving decimal one place back increases the power by 1. Moving it one place forward decreases this power by 1. We moved it backwards, so it increased the power by 1. And we're done with this question, this part. So we'll just write it over here like this. Given that a plus b is equal to k into 10 power n, where k and n are integers, find the smallest value of k and the corresponding value of n. Okay, so a and b, we will be using the same, 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 56 added to 8 into 10 raised to the power 54. which will be equal to k into 10 raised to power n. You will not be moving this anywhere over here, interfering with them. We will be simply solving this. To solve this, you will with an addition or subtraction. The first way we were doing with multiplication and division. So in addition subtraction, you need to take the smallest value of this 10. Over here, the smallest value is 10 raised to the power 54. So we will simply do that, which leaves us with 10.1 into 10 raised to the power 2 plus 8. 8 into 1, but writing 1 is of no use. So right now we are seeing we took 10 raised to the power 54 common. Dividing this by this gives us 2.1 into 10 raised to the power 2, because 56 when divided by 10 raised to the power 54, their powers subtract and it leaves us with 2. And when you divide this whole equation by 10 raised to the power 52, it leaves us with 8 only. Now simply we are going to solve the inner part, which gives us 2.1 multiplied by 100 plus 8. So 210 plus 8 gives us 218, or we'll just confirm. Yeah, it is 218 multiplied by here. So we have our equation 218 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 54, but again we have it in 3 numbers. This has to be less than 10. So we will move decimal place 2 places back, which will increase this by plus 2. Now we can see that the question said find the smallest value of k and the corresponding value of n. K raised to the power k multiplied by 10 raised to the power 4. So n we can see is 56, while the smallest value of k, so k over here, it has to be an integer. So I'll just we'll just write it as 2, I think. Yeah, we'll just write it as 2. So we are done with question number 17 as well. Yeah, now we will be moving on to our final question of the day. There's one thing I just remembered. We wrote this in standard form over here, 2.18. So the least number in integer for k, you can simply write 218, and for n we will just subtract 2 of them, because we moved the decimal 2 numbers forward. This will remain 1054, so we will add this as 54. So we will move on to the next question now. Here again I had this problem today with the volume, so I will be re-explaining this all till a little bit further. The rest of the video is there. So to solve the simultaneous equations, we will simply use the elimination method for this one, in which you have to take 2 variables in both of the equations, mark one specific, for example x or y, and you have to make their coefficients same and their signs different. The 3x is with minus sign, 8y. Make sure not to make any errors with the signs. It can get your whole question wrong. It will get your whole question wrong. So over here we simply multiplied this minus this 8, not the minus sign, but only 8 with the upper equation and the y with this bottom equation, to make the coefficients of y the same. Why we chose y? Because both of the signs were opposite. Now we just cut this off, and 40x over 9 we will just simply use the simple add subtract. Over here they are being added. 49x is equal to 16 added to 12. It gives us 28. Just increase the camera. Yeah. So now simply we will find the value of x, which gives us 28 divided by 49. So 28 divided by 49 is 4/7, which is x. Now to find y, take one of these two equations, substitute the x value with this. We will take this equation first. 4/7, we substituted x with the value we found, plus 3y is equal to 2. Now we need to calculate the whole thing, which gives us 3y is equal to 2 minus 20/7, and we will just simply divide it by 3 as well. The whole thing is minus 2/7. So that's one way to solve this equation. And the second way to solve this equation will be, you also have to write the value of x down here as well. The value of x was 4/7, the value of y was minus 2/7. Yeah, the second way to solve this equation will be, I've written this over here because I was not having much space to work on at the previous side. Okay, we're using the back side over here. The second way is called the substitution method. Over here we will take one equation and we will make one of these variables the subject. I will be using the first equation. I will make x the subject. You can choose which, but I will be choosing x. So to make x the subject, we will move this and this over there. So because there's a plus over here, we will make it minus over here, and because 5 is being multiplied here, we will divide the whole equation. Now we have the value of x. Now using the second equation, not the one you made the subject out of, but the other equation, we will substitute this value of x over there inside the value of x, which gives us this, like this. Now we need to solve this equation. 6 minus 9y whole divided by 5 minus 8y is equal to 4. Make sure to keep the signs accurate, because I've also made mistakes in the past using this, and it costs a lot of marks. If you do it early, the early mistakes cost lots of marks by the end. Okay. Take out the LCM, make the denominator same for all. Over here we don't have, so to make the denominator 5 over here as well, we will simply multiply this by 5 as well. Now we will multiply this over there to make it one simple equation like this. And then now simplifying it, solving it, and for this equation we get minus 49y is equal to 14, and y, it gives us 14 divided by minus 49, it gives us minus 2/7, which was the same answer as before. And now using this answer again, we will do the same thing as we did in the previous step, in the previous method. Use this minus 2/7 value of y and substitute in any equation you want. I will be using the second equation like this. 3x plus 16 minus becomes plus, divided by 7 is equal to 4. Over here you don't need to make the denominator same for here, because it's of no use. You anyway have to move this only over there, because there's an unknown variable over here. So 4 subtracted by 16/7 gives us 12/7. And because 3 is being multiplied here, you divide it over there, it gets multiplied with 7, which gives us 21. which if you simplify further gives us x equal to 4 over 7, which was the answer of x in the previous part. Okay, so this was the part 2 of paper 1 January 2021 mathematics B. I will see you in the last part of this video, in which we will be covering all questions till question 26. So till then, bye.